Hey guys. Okay, so I'll kick off by talking about our bar tools or our friends, just the minimum one that you need, for making cocktails. So let's start with the shaker. The shaker is pretty important. This is called a Boston shaker. So here you have the metal tin and the glass, which is in the dishwasher, but it's only two pieces. And this is the best shaker you can use for making drinks at home. Mostly people tend to buy the three-piece shaker. You have the metal piece, you have the lid, and there's a tiny lid on top of it. I'm not a huge fan of that for two reasons. One, when you shake the drink, the ice kicks in, everything gets cold, all these metallic pieces shrink and it becomes extremely difficult to separate them. Well, difficult to separate them. And you're hitting on it, you're banging on it, it doesn't look very smooth either. But if you use a Boston shaker, it's just metal and glass, different coefficients of thermal expansion, and they separate fairly easily. And the second reason is the most important one is the drink gets to travel much more distance within the tin and the glass, and it facilitates a better mixture of all your ingredients. This one is pretty special for me because I got it after my daughter was born, because it's a weighted tin. You see the little piece here? It's a weighted tin because when you shake the cocktail, the noise gets dampened a little bit so the baby doesn't wake up. So you have the shaker, two-piece shaker called the Boston shaker. And along with that, you could get a Hawthorne strainer, right? It fits in conveniently like this. You just adjust to release the drink, filter out the ice. That's pretty good. But in reality, you could make a cocktail with just your normal protein shaker. A plastic jar that's airtight and watertight. Still does the same job, just need to filter out the ice, right? So that's your shaker. Then you have your stirring jar, along with the stirring glass. These two are nice to make stirred cocktails. So cocktails that's usually spirit. There's no juice or no citrus element, like a Manhattan or old fashioned. You will need a mixing jar. This spoon, the bar spoon, has many benefits, because not only does it help with the stirring, but if you want to layer drinks, like if you want to, like a thin layer of red wine over your whiskey sour, you just pour it over here and the drink actually like travels through the spiral and does like a really good job of leveling it out. So you have your stirrer, you have your beaker, and your muddler, right? You don't really have to buy a muddler. Many companies, when they sell their alcohol, usually you get a gifted one. This particular one I got from Hendrix. Hendrix, the gin company, and I used it for many years. This is recommended. Usually if you're garnishing something on top of your cocktail you're serving to your friends or guests, ideally you shouldn't be touching them. So you use forceps to layer edible flowers or some garnish, and then you have your lime squeezer, lemon squeezer. Normal squeezers work. I'm a big fan of these because it's much more easier on your wrist and you can extract a lot more juice. And when you have a lot of friends coming over, you'll be cutting and juicing many lemons and limes. So that's oh yeah, and then one more thing. Let me get that. Your measuring jar, right? This is super important, because the best cocktails are the most balanced cocktails, and to make sure your drinks are balanced, you have to make sure you measure them fairly accurately. And there are many jiggers. You've seen those cone, what's the shape? Conical, looks like two cones attached to each other. They're called jiggers. I don't use them because you use the bottom part, then you flip it, you use the top part, it's messy. This is my favorite measuring cup, because you don't have to measure things like this. As you pour your stuff in here, you can just read the measurements right up from the top. So very clever design. This is awesome. I think that's about it. So a Boston shaker, or just any protein shaking jar, a beaker for stirring cocktails, a muddler, and a measuring jar. All right, that's about it. This is all you need, and ice, of course, which I will cover in another video. See you guys. Cheers.